In an era where animated shows on the traditional networks and streaming are very much struggling, it's no surprise that a lot of creators are opting to go the indie route, either getting their idea picked up by a studio like Glitch, or just working on it in their spare time and releasing it completely independently on YouTube. Glitch Productions and Spindlehorse are the most recognizable names in indie animation today, but back in 2016, it was RoosterTeeth, and their flagship show was Ruby. Oh, but they also had Camp Camp.
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
I had already been planning to talk about RoosterTeeth's 2016 adult animated comedy Camp Camp on the channel. After all, I discussed one of my favorite episodes of the series, Nikki's Last Day on Earth, in my most viewed video on this channel as of the time I'm recording this, the period piece video. I got dozens of comments on that video that were surprised to see Camp Camp of all things represented in a video largely about Disney animated shows and movies. I'd been wanting to branch out more and cover some stuff that wasn't from Disney, or even stuff that wasn't in the realm of kids animation. And after the Chiptopia video exploded in views last month, and since this year is the show's 10th anniversary, I figured Camp Camp would be a no-brainer for me to cover. Chimtopia was supposed to primarily be for teens and young adults, and that's exactly the demographic Camp Camp was going for, and did so successfully, I would argue. So at first I thought, alright, I'll just sit down and watch the whole series over the course of a couple of days. I got through season 1 over the course of a day, and after doing that and skimming around and watching a handful of my other favorite episodes from the series, I came to the conclusion that I'd be doing myself and this whole show a disservice by just skimming over the whole series in one big video. Well, that, and I think I'd rather keep these videos at a medium length. I'm not ready to do hours-long dissertations like some of my fellow reviewers just yet. So, Campereie, and welcome to Camp Camp. The pilot immediately introduces us to cheerful camp counselor David and jaded 10-year-old Max. And right off the bat, one thing I really like about this show is just how great the animation looks. A lot of cartoons made for older audiences tend to make the characters really ugly in an effort to discern their shows visually from animation meant for kids. But the character designs and animation here are extremely appealing. When I talked about Chimtopia, one of the main things I harped on was just how awful of a first impression they made. Not just because they dumped on another show, but because they did it while betraying their own self-described character descriptions. It was a horrible introduction. Here, we're not even a minute in, and we already know exactly who Max and David are as characters. Max is nihilistic and jaded, while David is incredibly optimistic, to the point of it being somewhat exhausting.
Are you afraid of making a few new friends?
I'm not here to make friends, David.
The two of them are waiting for 2 new campers to arrive.
Welcome to Camp.
We meet Nikki, the chaotic, hyper, and spunky adventure camp kid, and Neil, the nerdy, somewhat anxious science camp kid. Nikki immediately bites David's hand because she's basically part wolf.
Is this science camp?
This is adventure camp. My mom said so, unless she was lying again.
We also see Quartermaster, but I'll talk more about him later. Or possibly never. I don't know if I actually want to try to break down whatever his whole deal is. I'm actually not sure why Nikki and Neil would be arriving later in the summer when camp has already started, but I guess this was just easier from a writing perspective. David giving them a tour is a really natural way to give some exposition. Also, the Camp Campbell salute is the shocker.
Wait a minute, I love that idea.
David brings them inside the mess hall, and we're introduced to Gwen and given a quick look at some of the other campers. Gwen is such a great foil to David. She's basically Squidward where David is SpongeBob.
Actually, I was thinking I could play them that song
I'm gonna stop you right there. No, I'll get the Laserdisc.
Okay.
We'll find out more about her struggles as the show progresses, but in a nutshell, David very much wants to be here, and Gwen very much doesn't. They're about to use a Laserdisc, which is so outdated that it's what I would immediately reference whenever I talked about how Disney needed to update the Carousel of Progress.
Trish, for a while we didn't even have a house phone, not to mention laser discs.
And now they actually are doing that. And this is where we meet Cameron Campbell.
Mr. Campbell? What are you doing here, sir?
He originally appeared in the show much less, but they liked him so much that they went back and added more of him to earlier episodes. And The show establishes that he's pretty much always in hot water with either the US government and or some foreign government. So if you're still unfamiliar, this show has a super eclectic group of campers because Camp Campbell actually advertised itself as a whole bunch of different types of camps to trick parents into sending their kids there. Basically, Camp Campbell is the summer camp equivalent of one of those rip-off movie studios that makes cheap knockoffs of Disney and DreamWorks movies. This episode doesn't fully introduce everyone yet, but I think this is a good opportunity to introduce the show's supporting cast. There's Arid, the cool older girl here for Extreme Sports Camp, Harrison here for Magic Camp, Space Kid, who of course is here for Space Camp, Preston Goodplay, who's here for Theater Camp, Dolph, who's here for Art Camp, yeah, I know, we'll come back to it later, Neris, who's there for Other Magic Camp, aka LARPing and Fantasy Camp, and Nerf doesn't get a camp mentioned immediately, but he's very much the Buford of this series. Max tries to escape, but is thwarted.
Looks like knitting camp wasn't as stupid as someone said.
Wow, Max would actually be really good at making plushies.
So what? It's just some sort of camp?
Title drop, take a shot. I don't have any shot glasses. I don't do shots. I barely have alcohol in my house. Neil realizes that the science camp setup is really shoddy and has a very valid crash out.
This is bullshit!
Whoa, check out the balls on New Kid.
Where?
Nikki always gets the funniest lines.
You think you can rummage together some outdated equipment and call it a laboratory?
Look, kid, I know it's not.
Stand down, Gretchen. I'll speak to the children. Times have changed. Things like the internet, video games, and the Affordable Care Act are ruining this great country of ours.
Oh my god, Cameron Campbell would absolutely be a member of Trump's cabinet. And speaking of the government, the FBI agents have stormtrooper aim, and Campbell manages to escape. And Gwen starts having a panic attack.
Oh god, it's coming back. The crippling anxiety and regret.
Gwen?
And one theme song later, Max, Nikki, and Neil make a break for the bus.
Remember this face, David, because you'll never see it again!
The smash cut to the bus being crashed is the best. This is pretty much a perfect pilot. It immediately sets the tone and establishes our main characters. I love it. Episode 2, Mascot, opens with David introducing the campers to the camp's mascot, Larry the hamster.
Hi there, campers! I hope you're ready to have fun today! Don't forget to respect David and everything he does for you!
Even though I think most of them would already know that they have a camp mascot slash pet if they've all been at the camp for a bit already. And Max created a whole Rube Goldberg contraption to launch a rock at David, but instead it hits the hamster and launches him towards the island in the center of the lake, presumably killing him. David is clearly very frustrated with Max and kind of snaps at him, which is honestly deserved.
Well, Max, we were going to make handmade ice cream, but someone killed our mascot, and now we need a new one because every good camp has a mascot, Max!
Killing the hamster might be the worst thing we ever see Max do. As we'll see throughout the series, David's biggest character flaw is his superhuman amount of positivity, to the point where I think even Molly McGee would get overwhelmed by him quickly. Molly would be like, "Whoa, dude, you gotta take a chill pill. This is a lot even for me."
Also, Gwen is feeling under the weather.
Lady sickness. My mom used to get that all the time.
How do you cure it?
Edge closer to death.
This will, of course, be very funny later.
My insides feel all twisted, like Twizzlers, but horrible, like red vines.
Max wants to get away from David and ends up going with the quartermaster.
I, for one, would love to learn from my elders.
You seriously want to go in the woods with a bad guy from every horror movie ever?
Yeah, he's gonna turn you into a skin suit.
No, you guys have your horror movie tropes backwards. He's not the killer, he's the harbinger of doom. Nikki finds some footprints and she and Neil end up going off on their own and end up finding a platypus that isn't a secret agent, but at least they got its color right.
Aren't platypuses brown?
Someone's idea of artsy.
And it's also an aggressive little thing.
Think it has a little poison spur on its hind.
Poisonous? Awesome, you're coming with Mama. Whoa, too feisty!
Run! Don't let it kick you!
Neil is knowledgeable, but doesn't immediately question why there would be a platypus in North America outside of San Diego. Quartermaster takes Max deep into the forest and discovers the king of the squirrels.
How did he get a little crown?
That's your question?
I love this moment because Max is genuinely in awe. Unfortunately, the quartermaster seems to forget that his hand is a hook and he kills the king squirrel, and the two of them are ambushed by the other animals of the forest.
I am your king now! The throne is mine!
Wow, this really did predict Hoppers. They do a great job setting up future payoffs with the various other campers, and Harrison's line about not knowing how to bring the rabbit back is a great example of that.
Where'd it go? Bring it back!
Oh, I don't know how. This is kind of why I'm here.
Everyone gets cornered on the pier by the angry platypus.
I want a Viking's funeral! Light me up!
Only for Gwen to show up and just pick it up by its tail. I'm gonna guess you're really not supposed to do that.
Why do you always have to make things weird and complicated?
And Larry somehow swims back to shore, but the platypus eats him. So the platypus is their mascot, and the campers want to call themselves the Camp Campbell Pussies. Episode 3, Scout's Dishonor, starts building out the world surrounding Camp Campbell a little more. This is the second escape attempt, at least that we've witnessed, and Max has recruited an ex-Wood Scout to help them. The kids talk about what they're going to do when they escape, and I have to point out that Nikki doesn't seem to have a strong reason to actually want to leave the camp, considering that she just wants to be out in nature. But I guess she does literally want to run around completely feral. Neil also mentions his divorced parents for the first time. But it turns out that Snake is still with the Wood Scouts, and they're apparently so desperate for new recruits that they're resorting to kidnapping. Nikki is thrown overboard, Neil jumps after her, but Max doesn't for some reason. And I'm totally not foreshadowing a future reveal. In hindsight, they really should have known that Snake was a sociopath because he was literally eating a candy cane in the middle of summer.
Candy canes, lick 'em in a spear and kill your enemies.
Nikki and Neil wash up on the beach, and we meet the Flower Scouts. Sasha, Aaron, and Tabby.
I'm Tabby with 2 eyes.
Flower Scouts? Nikki, you were a Flower Scout?
Ugh, yeah. But they were totally boring, so I bailed.
Meanwhile, we meet the rest of the Wood Scouts, and yeah, their camp sucks. Why would anyone want to join them? I feel like even the ROTC kids would hate this. Neil, pretending to be a girl, enjoys the good life at the Flower Scouts camp that's more like a spa. But it turns out that Nikki doesn't like the Flower Scouts, not only because their camp definitely wouldn't be her thing, but also because Sasha, Aaron, and Tabby were total mean girls and ran her out. This episode is really all about gender roles. I like how the Wood Scouts leader does have a moment of sensitivity, in contrast to the Flower Scouts having a very outdated view of gender roles.
God, your face is gross.
What?
Oh, sorry, that just slipped out.
Dude.
Sorry, I know. That was mean.
It really was.
Boys are supposed to be tough and rugged. And if they pee in you, you get pregnant. Whoa, Tabby. My sister told me.
Nikki and Neil end up flying away on an eagle.
He can pee in me anytime. Tabby, seriously, what the fuck?
And Max's storyline kind of amounts to an ending joke with no conclusion. Max is stuck in a toxic masculinity fever dream, and we smash cut to credits. Episode 4, Camp Cool Kids, is our first episode that really focuses on the other campers, with a specific focus on Arid. The kids are having to deep clean the mess hall, which doesn't seem like something the kids should be having to do regardless of the reason. And why are they scrubbing with toothbrushes? What is this, the Smileway Reformatory School? This wasn't even a punishment. Did they genuinely just not have proper cleaning supplies? Nikki is enamored with how cool Arid is, but Max doesn't buy it.
Even cool kids take giant uncomfortable shits from time to time. Helps remind you that we're all equal.
Max inspires all of the campers to revolt, and they somehow tie David and Gwen to the flagpole. Max's revolutionary mindset is a peek at him being somewhat naive in spite of his usual nihilism.
Rage against the machine! Fight the power 9/11!
Also, I do find it funny how his plan is to stick it to authority by appealing to a supposedly higher authority.
Cameron Campbell is coming to the camp tomorrow, and we need to get ready.
Oh, even better. You'll definitely be fired once he sees the state the camp is in. Or will be in.
I like how Arid is a cool kid, but she's the total opposite of the Flower Scouts, where she's genuinely really nice to everyone, including Darius and Nikki.
Arid's charisma modifier is like +10.
Thanks, Neris. That's cool you to say.
I want to be cool too, Arid!
Sure thing, Nikki. Everyone can be cool at Camp Cool Kids.
Max calls Nikki a traitor, but Nikki doesn't care. Arid gave her cool sunglasses. So the campers split off, with Max and Neil taking Space Kid with them. They plan to get revenge on Arid and the other campers, even though they're literally just making a mess and having a good time.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Check out this tattoo. I put it on by applying hot, then cold water.
Wow.
Right? It'll be there for at least 2 days.
That's genuinely adorable. Max and Neil use Space Kid as bait to trap the other campers, and Arid has Nikki fight Max.
Nikki, give it up. She doesn't care about you. She just uses people.
Don't listen to him, Nikki.
Don't worry, Arid. I know it's not true.
No, of course it's true. Just don't listen to him. I need you on my side.
I think the bit about Arid using the other campers doesn't really track because she wasn't even campaigning to be in charge at the beginning. Even here, she only gets mad at Max, Space Kid, and Neil because they blow up a wall and wind up breaking the sunglasses Arid gave Nikki. I feel like there could have been more of a character arc here because the episode tries to treat Arid like a vapid popular kid, but they made her way too likable for that, and she continues to be that way as the series continues. Campbell shows up to find the camp in complete chaos, but all he does is kick Max down.
Someday you'll learn that no matter how righteous you think your cause is, there's always someone bigger to keep you down. And that day is today, and that someone is me.
Episode 5, Journey to Spooky Island, is the introduction of a fan-favorite character. The episode starts with the kids sitting around a campfire, and David is telling the worst scary story in history.
The dog that got tangled up in his laundry!
The episode centers around Max insisting that nothing scares him, and Nikki wanting to prove him wrong.
So nothing scares you, Max? Not even ghosts?
People in sheets got me concerned, but nah.
Space Kid mentions space ghosts, so obviously I have to make this reference.
Space Ghost is obviously a space man who died and became a space ghost.
No!
Face it, Space Ghost!
No!
You're a space man that choked on a muffin!
It's okay, I didn't actually watch that show either. I just knew I had to reference it because one of my friends referenced it in his old Halloween video years ago. And we get an alien chestburster reference for good measure. The quartermaster tells the kids not to go to Spooky Island in the exact way that would make a kid curious to go to Spooky Island.
Heed my words. You better stay away from Spooky Island. No reason to go there. Definitely not spooky. Stay away.
Do you think he's hiding something?
Yes.
And so they take a boat to the island and meet another kid named Jasper, who for some reason keeps making dated 90s references.
If only I had my LA Gear light-up shoes.
They light up the night. Wonderful.
I wonder what that's about. They find Campbell's old summer home on the island, which is full of large taxidermy animals.
It's a stuffed bear.
Oh.
It's a second stuffed bear.
Oh. That seems redundant.
Yeah, and I think endangered.
There's also a mad science lab on the island full of a ton of horrifying stuff, including a Pinky and the Brain reference, and either an abstraction from Amazing Digital Circus or Irene from Minions and Monsters. Neil is freaked out, but Nikki's still in good spirits as they head down into the dungeon.
You're just scared.
I am not scared. I feel like we've established this by now.
Max is scared. Max is...
Well, we made it, Nikki. Are you happy now?
I don't want to be here.
Aw, poor Nikki. And of course, the thing that finally scares Max is finding that the quartermaster is hosting a sex party in a dungeon.
I warned you, child!
Too bad there's not any ninjas there. Oh yeah, and Jasper's a ghost. Don't worry, we'll come back to him eventually. Episode 6, Rainy Day. Oh, this is the Dolph-focused episode. So there's a group coming to judge Camp Campbell and possibly give out an award for Best Camp Counselor. And David is really gunning for this award. Are the people giving the award out from the Shadow Council or something? Inside Job, that's another show I want to talk about. David is trying really hard to make a good impression, and I think by now it's obvious that his happy demeanor is often a facade that's barely hanging on, and he's actually just as anxious as Gwen a lot of the time.
You can't have a repeat of last year. Poor Chucky.
The obstacle course David was originally planning actually looks really fun and like it cost a decent amount of money. And so without a backup plan, David decides to make Dolph counselor for the day.
I've always said, what better way to learn than to teach? Dolph loves arts and crafts, and I'm sure he'll love teaching his fellow campers how to love them too.
Thank you, Mr. David. Under my rule, I will make Camp Campbell great again.
This is probably fine.
So yeah, the whole joke of this episode is that Dolph looks like Hitler and Neil is missing, and he's revealed to be Jewish in this episode.
Man, this is lame. And it's Chucky.
Wait, was Max here last year? There's not really a whole lot that happens in this episode besides the obvious Dolph jokes like,
"Where are your papers?"
where it seems sinister but is actually completely innocent.
Oh, you want more construction paper.
Yeah, what did you think I meant?
Intercut with Max and Nikki treating Neil being missing like a mystery to be solved. They quickly find Neil hiding in the attic.
The attic, of course. Amongst the Jews. So crafty.
And Dolph ends up getting the award.
High five! High five! High five! High five!
See, it wasn't a Nazi salute. Elon just wanted a high five. Yeah, I really don't want to talk about this episode anymore. It's gonna end up getting me demonetized. Let's move on. Episode 7 is Romeo and Juliet 2, Love Resurrected. As you would guess, this one is a Preston episode, and it's complete madness, so strap in. So first and foremost, this episode is the start of the joke that pretty much everything Preston ever does is just derivative of other things that already exist in a really uninspired way. Like, if he was pitching an animated series, he'd probably say it was Smiling Friends meets South Park and Seinfeld. By the way, because I got a lot of comments on it, I want to clear up, I don't hate Seinfeld. It's just that, A, you couldn't really make Seinfeld today without a lot of things being very different, and B, Seinfeld worked because it had a clear grasp of who its characters were, mainly that they weren't good people. Anyways, his Preston bad play would be funny enough to watch on its own, but we also get some backstage shenanigans from the other kids who were probably forced into doing this play. Max stole David's phone and has been messing with it. He has a Tinder account and all of his interests are literally just the theme song. The Flower Scouts are back. Tabby still has a huge crush on Neil, as established in the last episode.
Look how the sweat on his upper lip glistens in the moonlight.
That's a very classic SpongeBob joke.
I'm gonna make that kissing scene so hot, it'll be rated TVY7.
Good lord, these kids are all complete idiots. I really can't help but love them.
Back from a snack bar. Ew. Did you get my pumpkin spice? Totes.
Jesus, pumpkin spice season really does keep getting earlier and earlier.
Behold! Pumpkin Spice Latte has returned earlier than ever before!
You know summer's over when they whip out the pumpkin latte.
It's over.
Yeah.
Give it up.
Give up! You can't escape the sweet oblivion of the spice!
Wait, the snack bar has Frappuccinos? Sasha and Aaron don't get Tabby's crush on Neil, but they still help her out and tie up Nikki so that Tabby can take her place in the show. And go figure, she actually ends up being the best actor out of any of them.
I am no specter. I have been revived.
I don't know who this bitch is, but she is killing it! Ah!
Max used David's phone to catfish somebody, which is bad, but I do need to point out that Bonquisha is the one swiping right on photos of someone who's obviously a child. Shit goes sideways with Bonquisha showing up, demanding to find David, as well as an FBI agent who sounds like Patrick Warburton.
Such searches include how to blow up a summer camp, super murder plot, and what do boobies look like.
And it's not, I checked, it just sounds like him. So Max has to clear everything up.
Bonquisha, I'm sorry. You were texting me all along. I took David's phone just to mess with him. I led you on.
What about me? Where's my apology?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure who you are.
The play completely falls apart, but hey, David at least got a date out of it.
That wasn't...
Nuh-uh, somebody's going out with Bonquisha, one way or another.
Oh, wait! Can't we just be friends?
Episode 8 is Into Town, and as the name would suggest, this one has David going into town with Max, Nikki, and Neil tagging along. The episode starts with David looking the most exhausted and burnt out we've ever seen him, and Gwen tells him to take a break.
You're not going to do anyone any good if you keep letting Max get to you like this. Take a break. I'll cover underwater basket weaving tomorrow. Take the Campmobile and get out of Dodge for a day. Reset.
I really love David and Gwen's relationship because while the show often plays up how different their personalities are, they both still genuinely care about the kids as well as each other. So David goes into town and Max, Neil, and Nikki stow away in his trunk to figure out what exactly he gets up to outside of camp. This episode also introduces the idea that Nikki needs to be out in nature to survive.
I always kind of dry out in AC, and it makes me sneeze. Need nature. Nikki, go home.
which makes me wonder where she and her mom live and how she goes to school. They arrive in civilization, only to find out that Sleepy Peak is very behind the times. The town supposedly outlawed fun in 1909, so it's weird that there would be a summer camp nearby. Neil wanders into an electronics store and is amazed by the old school TVs and other outdated technology, while Max and Nikki try to follow David and ask the locals about him. I'm not sure what their definition of fun is, because there is a bar.
Is he a sad drunk? Happy drunk? Gay drunk?
Don't know about any of that. Guess he did hit his Shirley Temple pretty hard.
He beat a woman? David, you unbelievable bastard. I didn't know you had it in you.
Looked like he was headed down Plain Street. Might have hopped into Muffin Tops.
He went to a bakery?
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious to know what the town's definition of fun is, because it apparently doesn't include strip clubs.
Don't come back. Come back when you're 18.
I was not prepared for that.
They finally catch up to David at a hardware store where Max sees David do a bunch of innocuous things that look sinister out of context. And so he thinks David has snapped and is going to kill him. We also find out that Nikki is literally dying due to being away from nature.
She was with me the whole time as we ran around town.
I feel like Nikki would be good friends with Cricket from Big City Greens. They both have that feral energy to them. The kids get caught by David, and the episode continues to play up this idea that David's up to something sinister.
You sick bastard. Your getaway from the camp is to go camping?
I don't know what to tell you anymore about how cool camping can be.
Perfect punchline, no notes. Episode 9, David Gets Hard, haha, opens with David and Gwen reviewing a busy week of camp activities focusing on specific campers, including a random kid named Scotty who's in the visual comedy camp.
Thursday's over, Scotty. Go back to your tent.
We will never see him again. Interestingly enough, the original animatic for the show has a lot more kids at the camp, but somewhere along the way, the series was streamlined to just have the 10 kids, each with a different camp and interest. This change really does lean into the idea that the camp is struggling to operate due to lack of funding and interest. Here it's revealed that the counselors are supposed to focus on Nerf next, who is signed up for behavioral correction camp. Problem is, David has no idea how to be tough.
Now I am confiscating that pocket knife.
Straight through the hand?
You're pathetic.
And getting blood on my boots.
They go the psychology approach, and what's wild is that Nerf actually seems to have a shockingly strong grasp on his own mental health and childhood trauma. He fully understands why he's like this, but still chooses violence instead of trying to break the cycle.
Nerf, I am so sorry.
Whatever, dick turd!
Man, he is way more fucked up than I thought.
Jeez, I haven't felt this bad for an animated character since that time Squidward had his toe brutalized. Nerf continues to lash out, and in the ensuing chaos, David accidentally hits him. This completely catches Nerf off guard and actually does the trick to command his respect.
Whoa, that really hurt. Jeez, I can't believe I've been subjecting people to physical violence like this. I feel kind of bad about my behavior.
This moment heavily mirrors the resolution of the Phineas and Ferb episode Raging Bully. And just like Buford in Phineas and Ferb, Nerf will still be a bully going forward, but he becomes much less outwardly dangerous. As the series goes on, he gets handed a ton of really funny and introspective lines, much like Buford. Not as much of a fan favorite as Buford is, but he's really fun to watch once the writers figure out his dynamic with the other kids outside of him just terrorizing them. Episode 10, Mind Freakers, is one of my favorites because it's a Harrison episode that also heavily focuses on Neil and Nikki. Harrison is doing magic, much to Neil's annoyance.
I've got money ears.
Sleight of hand. The quarter is up your sleeve and the movement of your hand covers up the coin coming out.
I know your game, Prestidigit Faker.
Neil challenges Harrison, insisting that science totally disproves the slightest possibility of magic. But Harrison's magic might be more real than Neil thinks, as he casts a trick on Max, causing him to pull a whole bunch of scarves and a stuffed rabbit out of his mouth, which looks genuinely painful and horrifying.
What did you do to me?
Oh, you just got Abraca-owned, Max.
Yes, and it would have been even better if it had happened to Neil as I intended.
See, look, Aaron actually looks genuinely concerned for Max.
So I don't know how you did it. Big deal. It's not like I'm gonna lose sleep over it. Shit.
So Neil spends the whole episode crashing out over trying to figure out how Harrison did the trick. Meanwhile, Max is just genuinely disturbed and feels awful the whole episode. Poor Max.
I'm gonna go sit in the shower for a while.
Nikki, on the other hand, is genuinely adorable throughout this entire episode. She's so full of childlike wonder and awe. Neil eventually tries to recreate the trick with Nikki by shoving the scarves down her throat. She nearly dies, but then magically is fine because Harrison is just fucking with Neil.
How are you okay, Nikki?
I keep telling you, Neil. It's magic, silly.
Fuck you, Harrison.
Episode 11, Campereie, sees our first competition between the various camps of Lake Lilac. Just the three, though. We don't see the pirate camp or church camp that were referred to back in the Spooky Island episode. Cameron Campbell bets the fate of the camp to the Wood Scouts, and this ends up becoming a really common thing in the series. I'm pretty sure having a competition for the fate of the summer camp is basically its own trope, so it makes sense that Camp would poke fun at it. This is pretty straightforward. The campers are all really bad at the Wood Scouts and Flower Scouts events.
Okay, no, wait. Okay. No, wait.
But then Gwen comes up with the strategy of using the fact that they have a bunch of kids with incredibly specific interests to their advantage. And of course, because we're talking about highly specific, intense, niche interests, let's do a lightning round of neurodivergence headcanons! Max. No, Max probably isn't autistic. He's just jaded and has obviously had his fair share of childhood trauma. Nikki. I think she likely has ADHD. There's also some other kind of disorder or something, given how she'll literally die outside of nature. Neil. Oh, he's absolutely autistic. He's got a strong interest in science and STEM, and really doesn't enjoy socializing with the other kids. Arid. If Arid is any string of neurodivergent, she's exactly the kind of kid where that would never be suspected, since she doesn't have issues socializing and is generally pretty chill. Only for her to hit severe burnout in adulthood. That said, her just being interested in motorcycles and extreme sports doesn't inherently mean that she's neurodivergent. Harrison isn't neurodivergent. Just trust me on this one. Space Kid is absolutely autistic given his strong hyper-focus on space and communication issues. Preston is an intense theater camp kid, so I think there's a strong likelihood that he's autistic just based on the high amount of theater kids who end up being on the spectrum. Dolph? I mean, art camp and lack of social awareness. Autistic. Neris? Definitely autistic. Nerf. He's got a surprising amount of self-awareness, but I'd probably put him more in line with Max. Gwen is very anxious, and we'll later find out she's really into creative writing, specifically fanfiction. Honestly, yeah, I could see her being on the spectrum. And finally, David. Yep, I definitely think he's also on the spectrum. Strong, lifelong interest in camping, also extremely anxious but tries to mask it as much as possible, and still very naive. Anyways, back to the competition. Neil has them create a stable batch of nitroglycerin. Harrison does illusions. Arid has them repair motorcycles. Neris has them destroy their One Ring of Power. And Nikki...
Round 15. Cross-species communication.
But that's impossible!
Kill!
And of course, the episode's anti-moral is never work together, which David tries to refute, but all the other campers completely ignore him. That night, David reflects on how the campers just don't care anymore.
I just don't get it. I loved summer camp as a kid. What changed?
So I wasn't there when this episode first came out, but I imagine the fandom exploded at the subtle reveal that Jasper used to go to camp with David. It opens up so many questions about what happened to him. But there's no time for answers because David has a solution to hopefully raise the campers' spirits. The Order of the Sparrow.
That's it. The Sparrow.
And this brings us to the season 1 finale, The Order of the Sparrow. David wants to use a ceremony that they used to do when he was a camper to try and get the campers truly excited about camping. As to be expected, the campers aren't interested, and a few of them also call out how much David's portrayal of a Native American is an outdated cultural depiction.
Wow, that is racist.
But most of them perk up at the mention of a secret prize. This predictably leads to the various campers going over the top and doing a lot of really ill-advised things to prove to David that they're deserving of the prize. This culminates in Preston somehow cleaning the forest, to David's absolute horror.
The floors were covered in dirt.
That's because it's the forest.
Max insists to David that everyone's gonna be pissed when they find out that the prize is stupid.
It's better than all of that. It's symbolic and beautiful.
Is it a job well done? Because that's a fucking cop-out, David.
It's a bonfire.
What?
What?
So yeah, the prize is just a bonfire. All of the campers are really annoyed. David's trying so hard to sell the whole idea of the bonfire to them, but they're just not interested. David is so laser focused on his own interests that he doesn't recognize that these kids all have such wildly different interests that this kind of old school camp tradition never had a chance of actually working to lift their spirits.
Life sucks, and we live in a world of desensitized, apathetic assholes. Why don't you just get with the program and stop giving a shit?
You're right.
What?
Times have changed, whether I like it or not. The campers don't care. Gwen doesn't care. That's why I'll never stop trying, because somebody fucking has to.
This one line really does put David's whole character into perspective. David does absolutely overdo it with the forced positivity, to the point where it can easily be seen as delusional or toxic positivity. If season 1 David were a real person, I would tell him that he should really try to dial it back a little bit and actually listen to what his campers and co-counselor want and how they're feeling more often, instead of just trying to steamroll over them with positivity. I compared him to Molly McGee at the beginning of the video, and while Molly definitely has her moments of overextending herself to try and make others happy, she's also much more grounded and does a better job at actually listening to other people and truly empathizing with them. And that's why I identify so strongly with Molly as a character. But regardless, the idea of doing everything you can to stay positive, optimistic, and hopeful in the face of a world that seems to be consumed more and more by apathy and misery every day is a powerful one that's at the core of some of my favorite pieces of media ever.
我总是看到事情好的一面，那不是因为我天真，而是必要，而需要。这也就是我的生存之道。
And on the flip side, Max's biggest character flaw is that he thinks nihilism should be everyone's default setting, and just can't wrap his head around how there are people out there who can still be joyous and optimistic in a world that's hateful and full of spite. For the first time, Max truly understands where David is coming from and actually feels bad for him. But at that exact moment, the wood from the bonfire falls on David and knocks him unconscious. After a dream fake out, he actually wakes up and finds the next best thing. At Max's direction, the campers have come together to make David happy, in their own unique and chaotic way.
Nikki, no more arrows!
You can't control me, white devil!
You're all dressed up as
Indians, just like you said.
We designed the outfits ourselves.
Do you love them? I love them.
Yeah, they genuinely look really nice. How long was David unconscious?
Max. Did you?
Do not look too deeply into this!
We will eventually see both Max and David start to mellow out a little more as the series goes on, but they don't change overnight, even as they do have more of a mutual understanding.
Hey, Max. How'd you start a fire with wet wood anyway?
I'm not an idiot, David. I used gasoline.
Wait, what?
I really love this episode as a season finale because it ends up being really sweet, low-key, and character motivated. This show really excels at the relationships between its characters, and this finale alone elevates Camp Camp. It's a wacky and raunchy adult comedy about kids at a rundown summer camp with overworked and underpaid camp counselors, but it also has genuinely heartfelt moments, strong character writing, and character development, all with an overarching theme of optimism in the face of a really nihilistic world. So that was season 1 of Camp Camp. There's so much more for me to talk about with this show, so let me know in the comments if there's any specific episodes or character arcs you want to see me talk about in a video. Thanks for watching, and Campereie. Hey everyone, welcome to the outro. We're getting pretty close to 20,000 subscribers, but I've noticed that a lot of you who have been watching my most recent videos actually aren't subscribed, which is crazy, right? So if you like this and want to see more, be sure to drop a like on the video, hit subscribe, and check out some of my other videos. If you want to find out why Bluey's episode about a balloon is so iconic, or what would happen if Candace successfully busted Phineas and Ferb, click on one of those videos right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.